fired up. This is going to be another great Outlier Project Conversations with Legends series. Before we get started, I'm going to do some quick housekeeping. So we've got some really cool events coming up. So the book that we're reading this month is Powerhouse by Christine Lilly. Christine Lilly, two-time Olympic gold medalist, two-time World Cup champ, Soccer Hall of Famer. She's joining us October 4th. So do not miss that. If you do want an autographed copy of Christine's book, just drop it in the chat. Let Kathy Lecky know, and she'll get you an autographed copy. Our book for October, if you want to get a head start, is The Glass Ledge by Aman Obu. Aman is a microbiologist who just so happened to win Miss New York, who just so happened to start a company called Sway Media. She is unbelievable. So pick up Iman's book, The Glass Ledge. And then we end the year in November. We're reading Mark Champagne's Personal Socrates. And I can tell Chris may have either read the book or knows Mark, but phenomenal book that you guys will love. So Mark is joining us December 6th.
Mark is a hell of a guy.
Oh my God, the best.
And he was dumb enough to write about me in the book. So therefore you shouldn't read anything about me in the book because it's all lies and everything.
Along with Steve Jobs and some other, luminaries.
It was a good group.
Our Conversations with Legends series. So October 11th, we have a living legend. So Joe Foster is the iconic founder of Reebok. He's the guy who at one point Reebok eclipsed Nike as the number one company in that space. He wrote this book called Shoemaker. So Joe is joining us October 11th. On October 25th, we've got my buddy John Barrows. John is the CEO of Sell Better. He's got a mere 400,000 LinkedIn followers. Not that that means a lot, but it means that a lot of people like John and his company. They train Google, LinkedIn, Salesforce, on and on and on. John and I have been buddies for a long time. And then on November 8th, we have another true living legend. We have Meredith Vieira. For those, she's been on some shows you may or may not have heard of: 60 Minutes, The View, The Today Show, Dateline. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of those, but Meredith Vieira is going to be joining us on November 8th. So we got a bunch of phenomenal outliers, but today we've got a guy that I just absolutely love to death. We've got Chris Schembra with us. Let me give you a little bit of background on Chris. So Chris wrote a book, this book right behind me, called Gratitude and Pasta. It's his first book. I don't know how I saved this because it's so damn good, but this is his pasta sauce. And I don't know, maybe best question or something. I'm going to send you Chris's pasta sauce. We're going to talk about a little bit about that book, Gratitude and Pasta, but he just wrote a Wall Street Journal bestseller called Gratitude Through Hard Times, which we're going to spend time on today. He's USA Today's gratitude guru. He's the founding member of Rolling Stone's Culture Council. He's a two-time Emmy Award winner who, of course, he's an executive. He's on the executive board of Fast Company, and he's the founder of 747 Gratitude Experience, which has sparked, I think it's like 500,000 relationships, which is insane. So I'm really excited for you to get to know Chris. Before I introduce him and get him to say hello, Kathy, kick us off.
Inside me, son of a god, I'm like a titan that's rising on just you watch. I'm stepping into fate. There is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made.
We've got Chris Schembra in the house. He's actually in the doctor's office, but I'll let him explain that. Chris, thank you for joining me, my man.
Scott, that was the most, Alex says it in the group chat, that was the best introduction to a keynote or to anything I've ever been a part of. So I'm not leaving anytime soon. You're
Chris,
stuck with me.
That's how we roll. Outlier Project. Anybody can be ordinary, my friend. You certainly are not ordinary. Your career speaks for itself. Your career is so interesting. The work you've done in the theater, the work you're doing now, the books you've written. I got so many questions for you. So for people that have never been on one of these, this is the format. I forgot. So we're going to do about 20, 25 minutes. Chris and I got a bunch of questions for Chris. And then one of the cool things is, unlike a webinar or a podcast, we open it up for questions for you guys to ask directly to Chris. So you do not have to put your question in the chat. Just say, I have a question. Kathy Leckie will tee me up and you'll be live one-on-one with Chris Schembra. So before we get to you guys, I've got a bunch of questions. Chris, I think it was July 2015, you had a trip to Italy that really kind of changed a lot for you. And a lot of it centering around gratitude. Can you, for those who don't know that story, can you kind of just walk us through what happened in July of 2015 that kind of made this gratitude muscle twitch a bit?
Yeah, great question. Going straight to the source. This story is laughingly simple, yet I hope you all see yourself in it. To paint the picture in July of 2015, if you looked at my life, it looked pretty good on paper. Not too dissimilar from all of y'all on this call. I had a good job, a nice family. I had good prospects. Life was looking up. I was working in the theater industry. I was running a company alongside a great man by the name of Tony Lobianco. And the world was our oyster. We had achieved a lot. We had entertained a lot of people. We had made strategic investments, and we were traveling around the world, making people happy and laugh. It was always good. One day, we had just come back from Italy after producing a Broadway play over in Rome, Italy. And when I got back to New York City, I realized this ain't it. Just because a life looks good on paper doesn't mean it feels good in the heart. I was just going through the motions. I was just promoting my achievements. I was hustling for that next level of success. And all the while, I was becoming emotionally impotent, tired, lonely, overwhelmed, disconnected from those that mattered the most to me. And Italy really woke that up in me. Rome made me come alive. They walk different. They talk different. They love different. They honor history. It's intoxicating. And when I got back to America, I realized I got to change something, right? I'm the guy with non-suicidal self-injury, depression, jail, rehab on the resume when I was younger, as well as now. But when I was younger, and I knew if I didn't do something quick, I'd go back down that path. And I had the self-awareness to realize, what was it about Rome that really changed my perspective on these things? Well, it was food. And more specifically, it's how they ate that food amongst community, just like this. And so back here in my kitchen, this is the laughingly simple part. I invented a pasta sauce recipe. And that's what Scott was holding up in the background. I thought it was good. But I decided I should feed it to people like you all to see if it was really good or not. And that's when it all began. July 15th, 2015, hosted a dinner party, invited 15 of my friends over for food and community and pasta sauce and all that kind of good stuff. 6:30 p.m. cocktails began, 8 p.m. dinner was served, but at 7:47 p.m., now the name of my company, we put the pasta in the pot and delegated 11 specific tasks to get the people to work together to create the meal. It was magic. And at that first dinner, I asked a simple question. If you could give credit or thanks to one person in your life that you don't give enough credit or thanks to, that you've never thought to thank, who would that be? Not what are you grateful for? It's too easy. Not what's your biggest fear or failure? That's too hard. And this question gave people the opportunity to come out and tell the most amazing stories. Everybody cried. They loved the pasta sauce. So we haven't stopped since. And that was the beginning. Some may call it an accident into gratitude. But once I realized the power that it had being practiced in a pro-social communal setting, I was addicted.
Why, Chris, do you think that community and connection is so important and so meaningful?
Community and connection is so important and so meaningful. The Surgeon General of the United States, Vivek H. Murthy, once put out a statistic that said that 50% of the American workforce reports being lonely on a consistent basis. That's equivalent, loneliness is equivalent to the reduction of lifespan of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Yo, that's 7 years off our life. And what I found is that you don't have to be alone to be lonely, right? You could be surrounded by thousands of people. You could have millions of followers. You could see 10 people a day in your business practice, but you might feel lonely that whole way. And loneliness really wreaks havoc on the soul. It creates what we call soul poverty. And there was a great TED Talk by a man named Johann Hari. And in his TED Talk, you can literally just Google the TED Talk. In his TED Talk, he says, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's human connection. And so a lot of our isms around addiction or anger or conflict or fear or whatever it may be can be solved with genuine human connection and community. Rene Descartes really messed this up a long time ago when he came out with his Cartesian age philosophy. His philosophy many years ago, the great French philosopher, he once said, I think, therefore I am. And the problem with that phrase, I think, therefore I am, is it cuts everybody out of the equation. Ubuntu philosophy in Africa is really what we love to aspire to. I am because we are. That's the power of community. We were born to be in tribal societies. We are wired for empathy. It is in our DNA. And through the invention of social media and conflict and competition, we've somehow lost that connection along the way.
In your book, you talk about the connection between pain and suffering and gratitude. Walk us through why pain and suffering is necessary to get to gratitude.
Yeah, going deep.
I'm not fucking around here, Chris.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Look, we believe that gratitude is not best practiced during good or happy times. We believe in science, many studies show gratitude is best practiced through hard times. This isn't a subtle nod to my book, which is called Gratitude Through Hard Times, but let's give an example research study that we highlight. There's a man named Philip Watkins who hails out of Eastern Washington University, and he did a research study called Grateful Processing. What he did in his study was had people recollect some negative autobiographical memory from their past. And one group, the control group, he just had them do nothing except recollect the experience and go on with their life. The second group, he had recollect the experience and then write down as many details as humanly possible. The third group, recollect the autobiographical memory, find the positive benefits in it, give gratitude to it, and move on with your day. As you would guess, the first question, or the first group, they thought about something negative, and so they were kind of screwed for the rest of the day. The second group thought about something negative and then wrote about it, which writing about a negative helps destigmatize that negative emotion. Giving conscious awareness to a negative emotion and then talking about it or writing it down helps destigmatize it, helps process it. But the third group, find positive benefits in a negative autobiographical situation, allows you to be grateful for it. That group tonned it. And so he's the father of what's called grateful processing. In the world of positive psychology, gratitude is this amazing trait, state, emotion, mood that's the most scientifically linked to well-being. Marty Seligman, the father of positive psychology, proved that a gratitude intervention has a longer lasting and larger impact than any of the other interventions studied in his original tests, empathy intervention, positive affirmation intervention, etc. And so gratitude has the power to pull you into the positive. In the world of positive psychology, one of the biggest breakthroughs that relates to gratitude is what's called benefit finding. Benefit finding is the ability to see the positive through a negative, right? When a negative situation occurs in our lives, we can either only see the negative and be spun into post-traumatic stress, or we can find the positive and be spun into post-traumatic growth. So what happened was we went out and created something we call the positive benefits checklist. It's an 11-point checklist that you can put up against the face of a negative autobiographical situation. I'll use an example. On December 30th, 2021, I almost took my own life. I almost took my own life. It was completely by accident. It was an episode of what is called non-suicidal self-injury, NSSI. It relates to the intentional destruction of one's bodily tissue for purposes not socially sanctioned. Common examples include cutting, burning, banging of the head, hitting, scratching. We probably all know people in our lives who exhibit those behaviors. NSSI. It's not suicidal intent. It's a cry for help. Now, I had a big cry for help. December 30th, 2021 was almost the end. And after my non-suicidal self-injury, I cried. I was an emotional pile of mush for weeks. But eventually things turned around. And I started seeing the positive benefits that negative autobiographical experience had on me. And I put that negative autobiographical experience up to our 11-point positive benefits checklist. I asked myself, did me almost killing myself give me empathy? Yes. Give me greater appreciation for life? Yes. Give me greater compassion for others? Yes. Give me a positive self-view? Yes. Did it inspire a positive lifestyle change? Yes. Did it give me self-confidence? Uh-huh. Did it give me self-efficacy? Uh-huh. Did it help me make more money? Uh-huh. Et cetera, et cetera. And through that lens, I was able to say, even though it hurt in the short run, the positive benefits over time were far greater. And that you're allowed to be grateful for. I look back at my non-suicidal self-injury and I'm grateful that it occurred because it created the most positive lifestyle changes ever in my life. And for that, I'm grateful.
You know, it was remarkable because Chris, I'm not even sure if you remember this. So a mutual friend connected us and our first conversation was January 4th, 2022, 6 days after that happened. And I remember our conversation very vividly. I had known you as kind of your resume, which is like insanely impressive. And we were chatting, and, I was very, very much obviously into gratitude. The 4 books that I've put out are all about gratitude. And then you shared that with me, and it's been a huge source of inspiration for me, that you were, number one, able to share that literally 5-6 days after it happened, but then to kind of watch that healing process, and see the evolution, and the new book come out, has been unbelievably inspiring. So it just, it's remarkable to me that, it was literally 5-6 days after the incident that you're talking about.
Well, one of the things that is a detriment to all of the people across the world is that human beings inherently don't know how to give nor receive a benefit. And you were there to provide guidance. You shared part of your story that was directly related to part of my story, and I was able to receive the love and affection from you. And part of the thing with gratitude that I think stands in the way of people practicing authentic gratitude is that we don't actually go out and give the gratitude because we perceive it won't be well received by the recipient. We perceive that it will be awkward to give. But on the flip side, we don't allow others to give us gratitude,
right? Because
we have a built-up defense against intimacy. We believe that if we receive gratitude from others, we will owe them something. It will make us appear weak. And so you and I were able to connect through gratitude in my darkest hour. And that was the direct thing that helped pull, me out, in the months since meeting you, in the months since my non-suicidal self-injury, in the months since being grateful for this occasion. I've lost 30 pounds, written a #1 Wall Street Journal best-selling book. Our business has soared to all new heights. I bought a home. A lot of things have transpired to be grateful for. And the only thing that was the difference in the equation was being open to receiving gratitude from others, and actually being able to see the positive in my own life, which I had not seen for so long. You could be doing the motions. You could have everything look great on paper, but you could be the last to see it on the inside. And I was a product of that.
So, you started these gatherings with 15 friends. You subsequently have started a business and have done these virtually and in person, and you do them for companies like Google and Microsoft, et cetera. What's the key? Obviously, the question, I call it the question, which is a phenomenal question, is a big part of it. But what are the keys to putting one of those gatherings together and getting benefit out of it?
First, you got to set the intention that if you attend any of our experiences, you will learn no go-to-market strategy. You will learn no technical skills around compliance and M&A and financial planning, nothing like that. You will learn no new skills. You will nothing on the IQ or technical skill side of things. But what you will do is come and have your heart opened for connection. You'll share an amazing part of your story. You will create the safe space to listen to other people's vulnerable stories. And in doing that, you will get further ahead in your career than just investing in technical or hard skills. The ability to shift a really stressed out, overwhelmed, lonely, unfulfilled, disconnected, insecure employee or person from the negative to the positive doesn't have to require anything except a 90-minute gratitude intervention. And the positive benefits of that negative to positive mindset shift last for a very long time.
this next question just raced through my head, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't ask this because I have absolutely no idea what the answer is. And like, I'd be a horrible lawyer because I think that's the rule, is you're supposed to know what the answer is going to be. But it literally just went through my head, and I'm not sure why. You have a tattoo on your forearm, and I'm just curious, what is it? What's the significance of it? It's got to be super meaningful to you. And I don't know anything about it, so I have no idea what it is.
It's the first tattoo I got was on February 14th, 2009. I was in my third stint in rehab. I was in my third rehab in a row, this time in Los Angeles. And I had met a woman at a traffic light. I know that's, I was in my car, I was in her car, I bolted out of the car, got her phone number. She bought me a tattoo. She was supposed to be charged $63, but she was only charged $6.30. So that was my first tattoo, the pause symbol. Stop and think about what you do before you do it, or what I do before I do it. And then the second tattoo was I got on March 14th, 2009, 3 days before the St. Patrick's Day parade in Savannah, Georgia, near my hometown of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. And then that woman that I met at the traffic light who bought me my first tattoo on the Venice Boardwalk at Muscle Beach flew into Hilton Head when I was 11 and a half months sober. And we convinced the tattoo guy that if he could tattoo one of her nether regions, he would give me a tattoo for free. So on April 26, 2009, I got this tattoo when I was 11 and a half months sober, and I got wasted the next day. This tattoo is the Serenity Prayer. It's the prayer that we would use at the beginning and end of every AA meeting for 11 and a half months of my life. And God, I was struggling to stay part of the program. I broke every rule. I got kicked out of every rehab. They said, don't jump, I would jump. They said, don't talk to a girl, I talked to a girl. They say, don't do this in the sweat lodge. I did that in the sweat lodge. So I broke every rule. And so by the time I got back home to Hilton Head, what was the next rule to break? Fucking drink. Sorry, Mom. Drink. And so I got the tattoo, it was like clawing on to the last moments of sobriety. And then I drank the next day. And what I realized, as the first line of the book Alcoholics Anonymous says, alcohol is but a symptom. Alcohol didn't fart me up. I farted myself up. And I've been farting myself up, every single day ever since. That's why I'm in a psychedelic assisted therapy clinic right now for my 6th or 7th session of psychedelic assisted therapy program. Oh, did I do that? Hold on.
Amazing.
It's right.
Yep,
Wait.
We lost. We got audio, but we lost video. We'll get you back.
What did I do? Hold on. What the heck did I do?
Kath, I don't think we can control this, can we? No, there
you
go.
But it should be able to. Oh, it's because
there you go.
I just had the wrong camera selected after I plugged it back in.
Last question, because we got a bunch of people lined up, anxious to talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
What, you've had a remarkable life, a remarkable career. You're a super young guy. What do you think about your legacy? Like, do you think about what do you want that to be?
My dad was in the hospital for symptoms of long COVID in March of 2021. And as I was sitting next to his hospital bed, having just almost lost him a month prior due to COVID. But as I was sitting in his hospital bed, I kind of looked at him and I thought, if Dad was to die right now with me in his hospital bed, what would his legacy be? Here's a guy that's, He built a community. He built a community that millions of people have visited. He's made a lot of money in sales, selling shit. That's not his legacy. His legacy is his writing. His legacy is the way that he's helped people develop a positive mental attitude and live longer, happier, more successful lives over the past 45 years of his publishing company. And that's ultimately what inspired me to write this next book, Gratitude Through Hard Times, was saying, my dad's legacy is writing. I need to get on the hook and get my writing out. So writing is kind of part of it. I think that we have a lot of original thoughts, and luckily people are open to hearing some of those original thoughts, and those thoughts can outlive me. And that's great. All the money I can make, great. All the relationships I can have, great. But to be able to put our thoughts into a cohesive and spreadable, viral manner, I think at least will be part of our legacy. And if those thoughts can make people think, and if those thoughts can teach critical thinking ability, and they can make people have a pause in this really busy yet disconnected world that we live in, then I've done my part.
Love it. Love it. All right. We're going to open it up and we're going first to Florida. Doug, you are up with Chris Schembra.
Oh, wow. We always seem to start in Florida. Chris, I have massive love for you, man. I mean, this is unbelievable. Seriously. I mean, really unbelible discussion and vulnerability and shares. And this may sound weird again coming from a dude, but your smile is freaking contagious. You smile with your eyes. And man, you got a great spirit about you. And
Thank
tomorrow,
you,
by the way, I don't know, Scott, you're brilliant, so you probably knew this, but it is World Gratitude Day. So
yeah,
how
tomorrow.
how timely of a question, which Scott referred to as the question, which is an unbelievable question, and I think would serve as the centerpiece for the dinners, no pun intended. How the hell did you come up with the question? Is my question.
Yeah. Divine intervention. No answer. Zero answer.
I love that answer.
Now, I will say that when I was back in theater, me and Papa Tony and I, Tony Lobianco and I, we used to travel around the world with this one show. We invested in other shows, but we used to travel around. Our baby was this one-man show about Fiorello LaGuardia, former mayor of New York City, 3-term mayor, 7-term congressman. We were the global experts in 5'2" Fiorello LaGuardia from 80 years prior. And that was our whole life. And Tony's brother John, gave Tony a poem. It was written by A. Lawrence Vaincourt. It's titled "A Soldier Died Today." And it's about giving thanks to our veterans. And Tony, just because he can do whatever he wanted to do, would just read that poem after every play. And we would read it and read it and read it. Us giving gratitude to veterans to try to lower the suicide and depression rate amongst veterans with active PTSD. And one day, a guy named Stephen Klaus came to us and said, let's make it into a video. So we made it into a video. And the title of the video is called Just a Common Soldier. You can literally Google it. We decided to take that video, Memorial Day of 2015, and throw it out into the internet, give it to a bunch of different distributors, William Shatner, the For America Foundation, the Concerned Veterans for America Foundation. I think Fox News is involved as well. And to this date, it's got over 40 million views, 1.2 million shares, and it won 2 Emmy Awards for Best Public Service PSA campaign, and for Tony for Best Actor. So gratitude was kind of in my back of the brain. I'm not going to lie. It's like it was there for a long time, even though I sucked at practicing it. But when I asked that question, then we didn't ask that question for another few weeks, or for maybe a month or two. We asked other questions, but it never got the same result that first question. I mean, with that first question, And Alex can tell you, everybody cries. Everybody cries. But with other questions, we weren't seeing that impact. And so my sole goal, sole measurement, my impact in this world is how many people cried around my dinner table. So my sole goal was, how do I ask the best question? How do I create the safest space just for that one unit of measurement to occur? That's it. That's it. And so once we realized that that was the secret to the everything, that was the secret sauce for human connection, we just ran with it.
So I know that there's at least one person on this call that's like, I can't remember exactly what the question is. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I can even put it in the group chat for all the visual learners on the call. Sorry, I'm just really used to saying that in that exact way. So in the group chat is that question. If you could give credit or thanks to one person in your life that you don't give enough credit or thanks to, you've never thought to thank, who would that be? Now, what's likely happening, and I see it on your faces. What's happening is some of you just nodded your head. Some of you took a deep breath. Some of you actually physically sat back. What this is actually doing is some of you are welling up with guilt, shame, regret. Holy shit, how did I not think to thank that person sooner? They're sitting next to me. How did I never think to thank my damn wife? How did I never think to thank my grandpa, my third grade teacher, my dog, right? So the stories were amazing because people would access this guilt, shame, regret, boom, on their past, and then get the opportunity to share about it to strangers in a small group setting, in a safe space. And the stories would go down one of two routes, either positive or negative, either living or alive. If they were, exactly, Jerry, great question. If they were giving gratitude to a positive thing, they'd well up with positive energy. God, I never thought to thank my third grade teacher who drove me home every day after soccer practice. Woo-hoo! Or they go the negative route. I never thought to thank my ex-bad boss. God, they were mean. God, they treated me bad. God, I watched them do some horrible things to my coworkers. But you know what? It taught me what kind of leader I shouldn't be, or what kind of a leader I should be. Thank you. Or thank you to their ex-girlfriend that was just vain and shallow and made them realize they were gay. So many people have come out gay around a dinner table. It's amazing. So all these great things, you know, someone was giving credit and thanks to someone who's passed away. Yeah, those tears were real. There's real regret in not having thanked your mother before she passed away. But once you talk about that in a group setting and you turn that energy into gratitude, and you talk about your mother's legacy, that's like the most positive feeling in the world. And there's others to witness it. See, gratitude usually is thought of as a self-reflective individual practice. Take out your journal, write down some gratitude, put it in a drawer. But we saw that gratitude could be used in a pro-social setting in one of three ways. It feels good to give, and people suck at giving it. It feels good to receive, people suck at receiving it. It feels good to observe. Sarah Algoe calls it the witnessing theory. What she studied at the University of North Carolina is that gratitude practiced in a group setting, me, watching Lindsay give gratitude to Doug makes me more willing to associate myself with Lindsay because I see her as a grateful person. Me watching Lindsay give gratitude to Doug also makes me want to affiliate with Doug because he must be a good person and be at the receiving end of gratitude in the first place. So we were watching all that go around, and it was amazing.
So cool. And everyone loves Lindsay and Doug, by the way.
Yeah, totally.
We are staying in Florida. Kathy Slayton, you're up.
Hey, good afternoon, Chris. Thank you so much for sharing your message, your story. I have a friend I wish that she had heard this sooner, because she unfortunately is no longer with us because of issues with addiction. And so, but here's my question. So prior to the episode that you mentioned in this past December, were you was there any suicidal ideation, or was it something, or was this just mainly prompted? Was this mainly prompted through the issues with addiction, or is there a dual diagnosis there from the DSM-5 that you've been told about?
Great question. First of all, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What's your friend's name who lost her battle to addiction through suicide? First name is fine. And how do you keep her legacy alive?
So, yeah, so it wasn't through suicide. She actually just drank herself.
Okay.
So it wasn't anything that was obviously purposeful, but actually, I think we all do things with intent, whether we know it or not. So she, I think, had a lot of hidden issues with childhood trauma and abuse. But anyways, you never know it. And but anyways, her name is Jody.
And how do you keep her legacy alive?
You know, by telling everybody how great she was. I have pictures of her. You don't see them behind me here, but I have pictures of her through our time at FSU, and just, you know, we talk about her a lot, and, you know, even though she's no longer with us, but it is hard because she just, you know, she unraveled before we could even do anything about it, and she had a lot of enablers around her. But to hear you talk about this and be on the other side of it is very encouraging. I just, you know, I just wish it, you know, for some people, it's just too late. Yeah.
We, thank you for sharing that. Jody, amazing. I hope her legacy lives alive through you for as long as you're alive and longer. Did I have suicidal ideation before my non-suicidal self-injury? Never. I'm just a crier surrounded by enablers, and hitting, cutting, scratching, banging is all I've ever known how to do. I used to drive to a parking lot when I was a kid, and I'd just beat myself up, and I'd beat myself to a bloody pulp, and then I'd blame it on a gang of minorities or something. You know, I say that in a respectful way. I would literally blame it on someone who I perceive to be less than me. That's like the worst human quality a person could ever be. And so, you know, I was really fucked up with that. And so these non-suicidal self-injury episodes have popped up my whole life. I've always been a cutter, always been a burner, always been a scratcher or a headbanger, you know, poke holes in things. It was just never this close to the source, to the point of no return. Yeah, I'm still an addict. Of course, once an addict, always an addict. I think it's the most beautiful part about me and the worst part about me. My ADHD, I was put on amphetamines at the age of 5. Literally, like, I was a wild child. And so at the age of 5, they gave me 86 milligrams of Adderall. If anybody's ever known of like kids pulling an all-nighter to study in school, they're taking like 5 to 10 milligrams. I was on 86. So I physically don't remember my childhood. That's why I do psychedelic assisted therapy, so that I can remember the good moments. But suicidal ideation was never a part of it. Addiction has always been a part of it. But I think that that's actually like what makes me really good at what I do. My ADHD is my superpower. My ADHD, maybe doesn't allow me to focus linearly on things, whether it's a career path or like a task in front of me. But my ability to see things in the periphery using my ADHD, using my addiction, I think is what makes me a brilliant facilitator. I think it's what makes me able to pivot and see opportunities in the horizon, for sure.
Yeah. So no, I totally get it. Absolutely. 100%. So just really quick follow up, and I'll, was there any, is there like an MDD diagnosis, anything like that, that kind of parlayed into
not that I'm not knowledgeable about what I've been diagnosed with to answer that question.
Oh, okay. I was just curious, just wanted to kind of connect the dots. Yeah. Thank you.
What is MDD? Medical grade depression?
Major depressive disorder.
Yeah, I have not put myself recently through a psychiatric evaluation to be able to do that. Yeah, I just think I'm overall a pretty great guy. I don't think I hate myself the most. I think other people are certainly more down on themselves than me.
Yep.
So I don't think I have the depths of the disease. I just think with my addiction and combining addiction with an alcoholic evening and then combining that with a non-suicidal self-injury thought can lead to really bad results. And I think that's what I was stuck with.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Of course. Thanks for asking.
We are going to South Carolina. Denise, you're up.
Oh.
Hey, Chris. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much this resonates for me. I am a domestic abuse thriver. I lived in a really ugly domestic abuse situation for a very long time. And for quite some time after that, and still to this day, it has very long lasting effects. I have PTSD. I, financially go in and out of like being in a good place and not a good place. But probably about 10 years ago, I had a awakening moment that the best thing that ever happened to me was that. Because it got me to where I am now. And it got me to be far more introspective and insightful about who I was personally, to get to a place where I just recently made the choice to leap from corporate world into doing my own business of coaching and consulting and helping people navigate chaos. I'm a chaos Sherpa because I've learned how to navigate it myself over and over again. So I literally was like, I had to grab a napkin. I'm sitting in my car out of my dash and like wipe off my tears because you were making me cry because it was so connected. Thank you. Wait, did I just thank you for making me cry? I think I did.
It feels good. It does feel good, huh?
Sure. So when you were gathering this group of people together and, the question like came to you organically, how did you decide who the people were? Like, how did you, because I've been contemplating this kind of a group, collective, something. And every time I start to think about it, I get stuck on who are the right people, because I feel like the right people matter. And I overthink it, and then I haven't done it yet. So I'm just curious how you got to the list.
So first of all, my number one success, my number one thing that attracted good people was that I would always pick a date and then work backwards. If I try to think of the people and then pick a date, it would never happen.
Yeah.
I would pick a date and work backwards and then trust the universe would bring the good people into my life. Here's the second challenge though. It's not about the people. It's about your intention and your willingness to create a safe space for them to blossom. You could have an asshole walk into the room and your facilitation skills and questions will allow them to blossom as much as the nice person. That no matter if someone's walking around like an asshole in their work life, it's because they're a soft teddy bear on the inside, but they've had to protect that because of past trauma, right? So we all have that soft teddy bear within us. Your questions can pull that out. So I challenged it. It's not about the people whatsoever. With that being said, we set a rule. We set a guidelines. I mean, it was a rule. The first time you come alone. So I was self-selecting who came. The second time you come, you got to bring a friend.
I love it.
And after that, you're eligible to nominate someone who attends in your place. And so Denise, let's say that I invited you and you just cried your eyes out all night and you met some amazing people and you felt full and meaningfully connected and all this great stuff. And I came to you at the end of the night and said, Denise, I'd love to invite you back one day. Think about who you'd like to bring as your guest. You're going to think into your network and come up with the coolest, nicest, most amazing and heartwarming person possible, because you're not going to invite an asshole. So it becomes this like self-fulfilling or like community fulfilling prophecy, is that like just good people would attract good people. And the coolest asset that you have in worrying about who you're going to invite, the coolest asset that you have is yourself. I don't envision Denise to invite assholes. So if you start off by inviting nice people and they have the time of their lives and you say that they can invite more nice people, no assholes are even going to ever be in contention. It starts with you living the fullest integrity of yourself. That's it. And you've got that.
I love it. Thank you. That's awesome. I'm inspired. Next up.
One of the things, thank you, Denise. One of the things that Chris just said is something that I've learned from Jesse Itzler and Joe DeSena. And that is, if you want to get stuff done, put shit in your calendar. Get it in your calendar and you will figure it out. If you do not put it in your calendar, the chances of it happening are like diminished tremendously.
This is everything. This is everything from plan. Like I plan every day on a small scale, every day, twice a day. I've got 2 30-minute blocks at 7 to 9:30 is my morning routine, but 7:30 to 8 is my meditation block. It's on my calendar. And then 4:30 to 5 is my second meditation block. My team's not allowed to put anything on that block unless it's $100,000 win potential client. But no, nobody's allowed to put anything on that block at all. People don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Even things as small as that for your own mental well-being need to put down there. On a broader scale, we put down things like founder days. I try not to take any meetings on Mondays. I take 0 meetings on Fridays. On a broader scale, I try to plan, vacations once a quarter, even if it's just a week. I know I say it, even just a week, once a quarter. What? Yeah, because my greatest asset is my brain. My goal, just like Jeff Bezos will always say, my goal is to make as many or as little amount of really big decisions throughout the course of the year. If I can make 1 or 2 huge decisions during the course of the year that have a 5 to 6 year impact, that have a 10-year impact, great. So you need time to think about that, a lot of time. Because you could be doing a lot of things, you could be making a lot of money, you could be impacting a lot of people, but you could be going the wrong way on this planet for the betterment of yourself or for the betterment of where your industry is going 10 years from now. You have to think about that kind of stuff as a business owner.
Phenomenal.
Or just as a person.
Right. We've got 3 more questions. I don't know that we can get them all in, but Alex.
They're good. I got the time. They're not putting the IV in me until 1:15.
All right, Alex, you're up.
I just know I'm in the right place with Chris Schembra. I've known you for 2 years now, and then of course Scott. Somehow Scott finds his way to you. So I just want to thank you. Is not enough, I feel like, but I just want to thank you, Chris, for being here, for everything you give me.
You've showed up for our community so much, even through your darkest hours these last 3 years, and that's meant the world to a lot of people that we know.
I want to speak it to into existence. I don't want to put you on the spot, Chris or Scott or anything, but I'm just speaking into existence. Maybe sometime in the future we could actually do that event for this community, because I just feel like there's people in this community I don't know well enough without an event like that. And just from experience, for what you said, the empathy is different, because the stories are so real, they're visceral, they're emotional. And like I start sharing stuff that I've never met, people I've never met. and I just unload like these like really personal things, and I just feel safe. I feel safe to do it because I know they're going to feel like say some stuff. You ask us what we're feeling before, and we all say, I don't know, we're nervous, we're anxious. And then afterwards we're like fulfilled, amazed, excited. It's just like within an hour and a half, it happens that quick. So just throwing it into existence. I have to run. I'm just going to say thank you. I'm going to pass it off. I was going to ask a question. I have to get off a call. Maybe you guys can talk about this, like giving gratitude to folks that you don't think deserve it was going to be mine, but I'm going to pass my question and just say I thank you all. Yeah.
I appreciate it, Alex. Man, good to see you, buddy. Have a great call. And I think, we'll have to do a virtual gratitude experience for this community. I'm in.
Do it. Randy Ostrow, you're up.
Thank you, buddy.
Chris, thank you for being here. I have a question. It might be a little personal, but you've mentioned a couple times you're getting the IV put in at 115. Are you getting a ketamine treatment? Is that what's going on today?
Yeah.
All right. So listen, if you ever have any questions about it, I've done 11 of them, and I'm happy to share that experience with you. And I like what you've shared here today. I didn't really know that much about you, but it seems like you're on a journey towards very good things, and I wanted to wish you congratulations.
Thank you, Randy. I like your FootJoy hat, by the way. Today, actually, so today will be my 7th. And actually today, they're probably outside waiting for me. I don't know. But today, Germany's biggest television program called RTL is coming to film during my original 6 sessions that I did over the course of 3 weeks here at New Shama Wellness in New York City. Highly recommend them. Come see them. I started talking about my experience on the internet, and I had hundreds of people reach out with questions or their stories or whatever. And one of them was my dear friend Johanna, who's the U.S. correspondent for Germany's largest television station, the Fox News, CNN, MSNBC of Germany. It's called RTL. And so we filmed pre-footage this morning. I think they're filming with the doctor right now. And then they'll film me getting the IV, doing the thing, sitting down, having the drug hit, and then they'll leave and they'll come back in as I'm waking back up. And they're doing a big special on it over in Germany for what the crazy Americans are doing, you know.
Well, enjoy, and thank you for being here, and thank you for being so wide open, I guess is the way I would put it. It's refreshing.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Randy.
Chris Holmes, you're up.
All right. Thanks for letting me ask a question. I know it's like past time, but see if I can word this correctly. What's something that was like a pain, trauma, whatever you want to call it, from your past that allows you the ability to remain most present in the now? Mm-hmm. So, something that reminds you like today, the today me is not going to make that past choice, but there's something that happened that kind of keeps you there, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Great question, Chris. I would say, I know what it feels to be left out or alone or different. Just the fact that I had to show up every day and go straight to the nurse's office and take a pill in the middle of class made me different. Just the fact that they used to put me in the rubber rooms with the one-way mirrors and separate me from the other children when I was having a bad day meant I was different. I know what it's like for all the kids to not necessarily want to call Chris first. I'd end up at the parties, but I was oftentimes not the first person called to the parties. So I know what it means to feel not seen, not heard, not validated, extremely frustrated and repressed on the inside. I know what it feels like not to dream. I didn't have my first dream until I was like 21. Like I physically never dreamed as a kid because of the drugs, and I know what that feels like. And so I am just hungry every hour of the day to make sure that those that I can get in front of or that I can serve never feel that way as well. Shit, I don't know if I directly answered the question, but it's when